So chapter 12 is about acoustics of rooms. So what do you have to do in order to make a room sound good? So let's start this explanation. The first one is we have to worry about how sound propagates when it goes through different parts of the room. So when sound leaves me and starts traveling towards you, the first thing that we have to worry about when we're designing a room is how many different kinds of sounds will be reaching your ear at any given time. So the first one that reaches your ear, hopefully, if the room is designed properly, is the green line that you see in this animation. And that green line is called a direct sound. It is the sound that leaves me and reaches you immediately. And the time delay of the green arrow is somewhere between 0.02 to 0.2 seconds in any given room. So the green one is direct sound, and it is 0.02 to 0.2 seconds. The time it takes for it to go from me to you. Now, all the red arrows, note them carefully. Those are called first reflections. They can be from the ceiling. They can be from the back wall. They can be from the side walls. And they're also from the floor. They're all these reflections going towards you, because we are in an enclosed space. And they can also be reflections that go to the back and then come back to you. If the room has chairs, they could also be part of the first reflections, because it could be reflected from the surface of this table. It could be reflected from that table. It's reflected from this board. All of those will be your first reflections. I should write this down. First reflection. There's another thing that happens, which is called early sound. Early sound is the first group of reflection that reach the receiver. It could be from anywhere. And then last but not least, echo. Now, all of what I've talked about with direct sound, first reflection, early sound is sound that's reaching you. But there's also a sound that reaches me. And that's part of echo. If there is a reflection, how much of it is coming back to the source? That's called an echo. So after the first reflection, if the sound reaches the audience, it's called early sound. If the sound reflects back towards the source, it's called an echo. Got it? Another thing that happens is after the early sound, there are other sounds that are reaching you, and those are called reverberations. So after the first reflection, the next reflections are fast and smaller, and they reverberate into the air, and those are called reverberations. And the reverberations are reflections that occur in sequence of less than 50 milliseconds, so very, very tiny. You can also call reverberation as the time required for sound to fade away after the source has stopped emitting. Now, that doesn't mean that reverberations only happen after the sound has stopped emitting. They're happening all the time. It's just that that's how we measure them. So during the construction of things, we have to worry about what is the optimal time for vibration, reverberations that we can give it. And so here's a hint for you to remember. For musical halls, or where you want music to be played, you want the reverberations to be high. That will give depth to whatever you're listening, or they'll give more of a tone to whatever you're listening. However, if you are constructing the space for a lecture hall where speech is important, you want the reverberations to be as low as possible for clarity. That's why when some people think, oh, why don't we just make the speeches in music halls? Why is that not a good idea? It's a bad idea. It's because it's not constructed for the purpose. So music being played here versus music being played in Stransky. Music majors, yes, it's a difference, right? You feel when you sing there, it's different. Okay. The other thing that's important when you're thinking about constructing for different things is background noise. You want the background noise to be as little as possible, especially background noise that's coming from the HVAC systems, the people talking, the cars on the street. So that's why when you create recording studios, have you noticed that there's always a tiny room in front of them? And then there is other places? And that tiny room actually has a purpose. It's to decrease the background noise from the building, from the HVAC, from everything else, to try to minimize the effect of the background noises in there.